I'm not sure if you guys knew that Blake Lively had a product line that she tried to drop during the rollout of the movie. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about the PR disaster that nobody expected. Blake Lively's product rollout colliding with the release of the movie It Ends With Us. And before we get into the mess, we need to remember what It Ends With Us was actually about. This was supposed to be a story centered on domestic violence, trauma, and breaking generational cycles. It's heavy, it's emotional, it's meant to spark conversation about abuse and survival. So, right as the film's press cycle begins, Blake Lively launched her new hair care line, and the branding was bright, it was bubbly, it was glam, it was influencer style and product focused, which is fine for a lifestyle brand. But when you place that next to a film about DV, the contrast is jarring, and fans immediately noticed the mismatch. People were saying things like, why are we talking about shampoo during a DV movie rollout? The branding doesn't match the tone at all, and it feels like the movie is being used to push products. And whether or not that was Blake's intention or not, that's the perception that spread really fast. And on top of the hair care line, Blake was also promoting her drink brand, Betty Buzz and Betty Booze. So now you've got hair care ads, drink promotions, movie interviews, branded content, product posted posts, all happening at the same time. And instead of the film being the center of the conversation, the branding started to overshadow it. And that's why everyone was saying, like, it seemed like not only were they trying to take over the movie, they were trying to use the movie to their full advantage to springboard all of Blake Lively's things, all of her projects that she was trying to do, all on the back of Justin Baldoni's movie that he bought the rights to, and a subject that he's very passionate about, which is domestic violence. And then the timing got even worse because the lawsuit with Justin Baldoni started trending. The New York Times piece that dropped that negatively impacted Justin Baldoni, and being that he was the producer of the movie, dropped. And then fans were arguing. It was Blake's side and his side. No one knew what really happened, but people were taking sides. And social media started spreading half-truths. And suddenly the entire press cycle was about PR drama, accusations, narratives, who said what and who was involved and who wasn't. And Blake's product lines were caught right in the middle of all of this storm. So she bit off more than she could chew. She thought by getting him and slandering him was going to benefit her. But again, like I said in the previous video, I think it was all her husband doing that part. Again, in the beginning, if you have been following this from the beginning, in the earlier text messages that Justin Baldoni's attorney put out, him and Blake had a great relationship before the writer's strike. And afterwards, it just all went crazy. And I believe it's more due to Ryan Reynolds. Then Blake started making comments about the rollout being overshadowed and the timing being chaotic. She never said my sales are down because of the lawsuit, but fans interpreted her tone as that. She was frustrated, annoyed, and everybody started saying, oh, she's blaming Justin because her sales were low. The launch didn't do well at all because it was just too much going on, girl. You can't do that. So in all, what a lot of like professional marketers and analysts said was that the branding overshadowed the film. The tone didn't match the subject. You're trying to promote bubbly drinking, bubbly cocktails when the film is centered around DV. And in some of the scenes, a lot of the DV was or can be, and what people have reported, it can be brought on by alcohol consumption. And then you're rolling out a hairline. What does that have to do with the movie about DV and this woman fighting her way to independence and getting away from her abuser? And also, at the end of the day, God don't like ugly, and he ain't that impressed by pretty either. And when you try to sabotage a person, you and your husband are the main culprits in this. It backfired on you, honey. And then you lost a whole friend in Taylor Swift. Because again, like I said in the last video, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, and she did have a hand in this, but I believe it was just in assistance to her friend. She should have had better judgment and not got involved, but clearly she's been a part of things like this in the past. But it could be because she was in a new relationship, and maybe Travis talked her out of being in all the mess, because around the time when that New York Times piece dropped, that's when Taylor Swift, in December, like 21st in 2024, when that New York Times piece dropped, that I I don't have the proof, but I believe Taylor had a hand in helping Blake get that done. She started backing off of it. She started backing off of being in the mess. And unfortunately, she's pulled right back in during this lawsuit because she backed up off of Blake. She didn't invite her to the Super Bowl. She was at Super Bowl 2024, but she wasn't at Super Bowl 2025. And so, yeah, that's what ended up happening. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Sorry, Blake, for your product line. You should have thought about that before you went after this man's movie.